Lupin bribes Goemon into listening to their plot with Dango, then hiring him for 4 times his asking price. Zenigata tries to get info on where the trade is taking place from Promuk's company Navarone, whose security head happens to be a woman in a bathing suit, because sexy scene is unnecessary. Aside from the fact that one of the other patrons of the place is Michael's subordinate, meaning he's now been tipped off by bullshit to Lupin now on his trail, which leads to a chase scene where Michael's minions seek to mow them down on the highway in a Hummer. This is another of many horribly edited scenes, with innumerable cuts just destroying the narrative of the action. All of it zoomed too far in and cutting between perspectives so a casual viewer can't make sense of what's going on, where everyone is, and how what Lupin does is either clever or suicidally reckless. Hell, him diving into the Hummer to fight the goons himself is nonsense as he's not a fighter. While he can hold his own in one, that's what he has Jigen and Goemon for.
Hell, why do you recruit Goemon if the samurai is not going to do anything? This is the exact scenario for you to show off why you recruited him, since he has canonically cut planes and tanks in half. Hell, you could have had Jigen shoot out the tires as he's done that before, and he's not done anything in the film so far. Why are you including these characters if you're not going to show off their skill sets in the scenarios perfect for them that you are writing?
I mean, Goemon eventually does pierce the car's engine to stop it, but in a way that anyone with a sword could, and that really doesn't show off his skill. We cut to Fujiko, with Michael's female minion, trying to recruit her in... Why is she dressed like a hooker?
Legitimate question. It's not like you're trying to seduce her into going back to Michael. That just defeats the purpose.
They have a pointless fight and a scene shot so horribly because it's too zoomed in to see the actual action, defeating the purpose of even having the female minion dressed sexy to begin with. Fujiko agrees to go anyways, Lupin overhearing the entire affair and following. Michael says he didn't want things to turn out how they did, despite his minions being the ones who killed Dawson all over the Lamb mess. Michael now spinning things and revealing Edward Lamb was his dad, who Dawson teamed with to steal the Crimson Heart originally, only to leave him to die in the escape, where he also lost its ruby to Promuk.
And I can see this a mile out. Michael was deceived by Promuk, who actually killed Lamb, and stole the ruby for himself as all 3 were in on it. His minion that killed Dawson is on Promuk's payroll to cover that up, and Dawson's final planned job was a retirement vindication/revenge/redemption scheme. You know, Lupin adventures are many things and tend to be formulaic, but usually they are not this predictable.
The problem with this scene is the "he's our father" phrasing to all this. As if it was Fujiko's father, or a father-like figure to Fujiko, as well. And if that's so, then wouldn't she know who the hell Edward Lamb was in the first place, thus making all of this exposition unnecessary? 'Cause it really seems like that's the intended direction to all of this.
Not to mention that would only result in the creepy sibling complex thing to romantic teasing they're doing this film between Fujiko and Michael. It's empty, unnecessary drama that adds nothing. And worse, it's revealed later that Fujiko was actually just pretending to be his actual sister, but God knows how that con got started.
So yeah, he's completing the necklace in the name of Lamb, Lupin revealing himself and calling everything Michael said bullshit, declaring his intention to rob the necklace from either him or Promuk, offering his hand to Fujiko, which is refused. The exchange begins...
This it. Taken.
What the hell is with that gaudy outfit? And the hair? And the sunglasses? Is this a reference to strange psychokinetic strategy?
It's likewise asinine to hold this transaction in public like this, where Promuk just gives up, with zero pretense, that it wasn't Dawson that killed Lamb, it was him!
I was aiming at Dawson, but Edward took the bullet. Very kind of him. Don't you think?
Remind me again, how is this the guy that is Lupin's equal and shown to be superior thus far if he's so freaking stupid?
But Michael has a backup plan. He's marked the booth they're in with explosives, so his pre-written check would just pay for the necklace and they'd both walk away, but... gasp! That minion that shot Dawson is working for Promic and disabled Michael's trap!
You work for me. They always have.
I seriously did not read ahead in the script when I guessed this. Moreover, if Michael's supposed to be the anti-Lupin, since Lupin trusts in people, shouldn't that have made Michael, especially with his motivations for betrayal, not trust anyone and thus treat his minions poorly? Hell, that would have been a better twist to this. They treated those on his payroll so badly, they decided to take a competitor's money.
So Michael's humiliated, Lupin calling off their heist as he wants to take Promic down personally now, since Michael's now been exonerated of Dawson's death.
He really hasn't, though, since he's still culpable in the scenario that caused it.
But this blows Zenigata's attempt at an arrest, which humiliates him, as Michael skulks off into Lupin's hideout.
You got some nerves showing up here.
Tools work under Gendo Ikari.
He wants to take down Promic now, saying they need him.
They don't, and the fact they do shows how much they don't get Lupin III. Sure, the newbie tech expert hacker is justifiable since the rest of the cast were created in an era without computer tech, but an anti-Lupin? You guys did see the Red vs. Green movie where all the various Lupin copycats competing with each other metaphorically ate them all alive, right?
But, for the sake of the plot, there's no other reason, Lupin stops Jigen from killing him. By shooting the gun out of his hand?
Great way to emasculate the sharpshooter of the group!
With Lupin deciding to agree to Michael's involvement. Pierre sets himself up with an assistant and a $170 million supercomputer to hack into Provic's Ark, giving them blueprints and info on its danger, specifically its laser defense grid.
I ran an analysis for 24 hours straight and never picked up the same configuration twice. It's completely random.
If it's run by computers, no it isn't. The pattern algorithm is just programmed to run over a longer period than that.
Which is up to Goemon to figure out how to crack. I am interfaced!
Oh god, that's disgusting! Why would you zoom in on that?
As for the vault, it's both analog and digital, so ultimately all of this will take expert timing. They waste time with a Last Supper scene that's frankly pointless as it adds nothing.
ドゾンのファイルの中にとっておきの秘密があったんだ。ん？ルパンの本名。
本名?
知りたい。
Oh, you're kidding me. You did see the Green vs. Red movie!
だよ。拙者は昔から名前を知っている。
It's Zoroku Tojo. I will explain at the end.
Thus it's game time, with the group skydiving onto the island which houses the Ark facility. Zenigata tipped off so he'll be present to uphold their part in the agreement, presenting to them Lupin's calling card in animated form?
Which, side by side, does again show how much they did get right by casting Shun Oguta for this. I seriously think this is up there with the Japanese Death Note and Rurouni Kenshin films, and how appropriately cast this was. It's not their fault the script wasn't up to snuff.
It contains a virus which infects their systems as Zenigata attacks? Oh, that's Lupin in disguise.
I admit I should not have been fooled by that with how often Lupin disguises himself as Zenigata.
God damn it, that's Lupin! I'm not him, maybe! Wow, culture clash.
But this virus does also tip Zenigata off by it sending a legit warning and evidence to Interpol, giving them just enough of a delay to pull this all off, as it dumps the entire installation's private memory to the authorities. But, as I said earlier, this is a frontal assault break-and-enter raid, without any subtlety or trickery beyond the Zenigata facade that should have been employed in this as, let's face it, you don't need to be cunning to plant a virus that does all of the heavy lifting, and then just gunning people down en masse. You could slap different names on all of these characters, and this would all work just as well.
Hell, probably better, as it wouldn't be tied to characters with more established modus operandis that conflicts with this.
The team take on the former minions, Goemon getting a sword duel with the mohawked punk and cuts him in two.
Well, at least he was able to do that with something.
Jigen also getting his spot in the limelight by making the ultimate trick shot by shooting another gun to shoot his shooter counterpart previously part of Michael's team, and the girls having another purportedly sexy brawl that is shot way too close.
Literally.
Did you just shoot me? Seriously?
大げさね。そのくらいじゃ死なないから。
So they get into the arc and, of course, the supposed super bank for the criminally wealthy is a mostly empty building. The innard's just a giant empty warehouse that Lupin and Michael just take an elevator up to the best vault. They pass through the laser grid without issue, leaving just the vault keys which they just fake their way past. By injecting them with a solution that binds to a key?
I'm pretty sure that is not a thing that exists.
And with a hack from outside, they're in to another safe, which Lupin can crack, revealing the completed necklace. But Promuk traps them inside, draining the air from the room. Lupin, however, reveals canisters of the explosive from the opening, it being really concentrated stuff, which they say, screw it, let's use it all, got nothing to lose but their lives. But Michael shoves him in the safe, setting the explosive off himself and subsequently dying.
When, frankly, they could have both survived by getting in the safe to survive the shockwave. They said this explosive would have been most effective in absence of air, which, yeah, no. But even by that logic, the safe would have brought them the breathable air time to wait until the air levels in the room would have dropped to optimum. Space that small? They could have survived a couple more minutes as they weren't actively losing air inside that safe.
So, yeah, unnecessary self-insert character dies a worthless unnecessary redemption death.
Which is the worst kind.
Still, the game's up, all of them now having been captured and at Promuk's mercy.
I was once like you.
We are not so different, you and I. Seriously, we're doing this cliché too?
So, who should appear to save them but Zenigata? Just as planned. For as said, they provided all of the evidence needed to arrest Promuk with change.
You said to come back when I had one.
So Promuk's arrested, but as they leave, Zenigata finds the stolen necklace has again been stolen and replaced with a fake, which Lupin tries to place around Fujiko's neck, but with her rejecting him once again, while stealing the necklace, continuing their game of cat and also cat. Whatever, Zenigata shows to chase them, roll credits.
As I said at the beginning of the year, this is not a good movie.
It's a bad origin story, one that's consistent with Kitamura's other works of fluff plots used to showcase supposedly cool action and events, but in ways that detract from depicting them with how they're zoomed in and cut. The guy really does not do action scenes well in my experience, and that really does hold for many of my criticisms of Final Wars, which I will hopefully get to eventually. While the characters are a semblance of who they're supposed to be, they're constantly written off from how they should be, which I honestly put down more to the actors syncing up with how the characters are supposed to act than how they are written as. And everything with Michael could easily have been expunged. But most damning to me with this film is it's not smart, it's cliched and predictable, with little of the creativity and fun I normally enjoy with Lupin sort of heist movies. When you think the Ocean's 11 film trilogy managed to pull off a more Lupin-esque series of gentleman thief heists where no one is hurt and the bad guys throughout are outwitted, you know you fucked up.
But unlike other awful anime adaptations I've touched on, at least they had an idea of what they were doing by respecting the source material enough to actually watch it first. As honestly, remove the context this was the Lupin cast, and it's a passable movie. But as a Lupin event, yeah, no, it really doesn't stack well against most of them. Even the 1974 movie that gave Lupin actual superpowers more got the characters right. Though, by that same proxy, this movie did better by the ultimate heist plot, but not by much. So at the end of the day, if you're looking for a good Lupin origin story, then watch the first Contact film written by Shoji Yonemura. Yeah, I know, just wait until Kabuto for me to be nice to the guy again. Or the Woman Called Fujiko Mine series Funimation has released. Those are actually more worth your time.
Though in the ultimate irony a film like this could have, not even 4 months after this movie debuted, Kamen Rider Drive-In Guy Movie War Full Throttle hit theaters, with one of its antagonists being Zoroku Tojo, who was directly inspired and pretended to be Arsene Lupin and characterized to be much like Lupin III, down to his gentleman thievery and exoteric means by which to pull off his heists and goals. Meaning, the series often derided as nothing but children's affair, did better with an XP character of Lupin in a superhero setting than the makers of the actual Lupin III movie.
Then again, that's Riku Sanjo and his capabilities as a writer that understands the material he includes in what he writes. But ultimately, Yamamoto and Kitamura got the last laugh on all of us.
On a budget of $10 million, including advertising and promotion, this film made $22.3 at the box office, while Full Throttle with the better Lupin-esque character ultimately made under $2 million.
Meaning this film was financially successful enough for it to warrant a sequel, which is in development. This is why we can't have nice things. Wait, that was the point of all of this, wasn't it?
Yeah, look. I know who you are. I know what he wants. I know it's not ransom, as you know I don't have money. What I do have are a very particular set of skills. Skills I have acquired over a 6-year career. Skills that make me a nightmare for people you're after. If you return my collection now, that will be the end of it. I will not look for you. I will not pursue you. And we'll discuss that sequel if it ever gets made. No charge or prompting required. But if you don't, I will look for you. I will find you. And I will end you. Savvy?
You're alright, Lupin.